Hello there, and welcome to another Imperator Invictus dev diary. This time we're going to be talking about Scythia and Sardinia. So, let's get into it straight away, why not? Today we'll be talking about part 1 of the Scythian and Sardinian content coming in the future. It is Eleran doing this one, and Hannibal the Cannibal. Back again to talk to you all about the next project. Following the good feedback received from the Forgotten Children of Hellas mission, which I believe was the one for the Greek republics up here, forming the Bosporan League. When I did a video about that, actually, I pointed out that it was an incredible disappointment that when you're talking about finding a lost wonder or a lost temple, it didn't, like, create a wonder. They actually went in and changed that, so now it actually does spawn a wonder, which is actually delightful. I love it. But yeah, that's really, really cool. We took some lesson learned and turned our attention to something a bit more focused and ambitious in scope, namely Scythia and her neighbours. So, geographic and game stat changes, you can see this is the original, what it looks like in the base game. In its base form, Scythia is an underperforming steppe tribe that usually is destined for either rapid defeat by its neighbours or at best relative obscurity. Scythia's lack of presence in the region and general lack of flavour is acutely felt, as any Scythian player will tell you. In addition to this, Scythia's capital is outside its historic borders at game start, and its closer relatives and rivals, the archaeological estimated Sarmatian successor tribes, the Laziges and Roxolani, are absent from the base game. During the 3rd centuries, migrations stemming from eastern expansion pushed many steppe groups westwards along the Pontic Caspian steppe, forcing them into the originally royal Scythian realm. To address this, we've undertaken a slight rework of the Taurica and Sarmatia regions of the map to estimate the general zones of habitation and control each tribe would have during this fluid period. So this is what we had before. Big old Scythia, got Nolbia, Chersonesus, Bosporan Kingdom, Maeotia, Sarmatia, Syndica, I want to say that one is. And it has changed to this. So Scythia has lost much of its territory up here into Iazygia. Maeotia seems unchanged, but now Sarmatia has been broken up into Roxolania and whatever this is. Hopefully we'll get a better image a bit later. But yeah, that's a very much weakened, it seems, Scythia. So let's have a read on, see what's going on there. A few changes should be immediately obvious. Yeah, it is. Scythia has been split effectively into two, between Scythia proper to the west and the new tag Iazyges to the east. I don't really know how you pronounce this one. I'm going to go with Iazyges, you know. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to complain about my pronunciation no matter what I say, so I'm just going to point out the undeniable fact that I have perfect pronunciation. I pronounce it perfectly first time. Even when I get it wrong first time and then I correct myself, they're both correct. So shut up. Scythia's new capital will be on the Dnieper River on the previously uncolonized province of Ish. So actually, did they gain land? Where is Ish? There. It's either one of these three. They've gained one of these 3 provinces, or territories, I should say. So I would assume, because he's saying that it's on the Dnieper, or Dnieper, whatever the fuck you want to call it, then this one here would be Ish, I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I mean, I've got the game open. I could have a look, but yeah, it's all right. It'll be renamed to Borysthenia in order to complement the selection of Greek names given to territories in this region. Though we would have preferred to name the capital city in its original Scythian or even corresponding Greek name, sadly no surviving records are available to us. It's a little bit interesting to use original Scythian, because, you know, there would have been people groups here before Scythia that maybe have called it something else, and then Scythians came and called it something, and then the Greeks called it Borysthenia. Maybe something like that? I don't know. I'm just honestly speculating here. Completely minor nitpick that means nothing, but whatever. As Scythia's supposed royal residence and capital, during and after the long and prosperous reign of King Ateus was a hub of both land and sea trade, we were looking into making the territory port-friendly and the adjacent river a useful trade route. The Iazyges will contain the port city of Tanais, which I believe is... it might be there. Yeah, no, it's there, it's there. Also this... Huh, I never knew that was a traversable river. Last time I played up in this region, this wasn't a traversable river. I'm pretty sure. Anyway. Yeah, so the territory port-friendly and the adjacent river are a useful trade route to the Eziges, will gain control of the port city of Tanais and which will serve as their capital. Sarmatia has been renamed to Roxolania, as this group, along with several others, maintains materially Sarmatian qualities but is referred to in recovered text by a different name, having different rulers and migrating to separate parts of Dacia after the tribe has traversed the Pontic steppe. The Roxolani and other tags with Sarmatian as their primary culture will have access to the decision to form Sarmatia and create a formidable nation which rival the Pontic Scythians in their rule of the Don River. So this is before Sarmatia and Syracea, and we've changed it. So Syracea's actually gained quite a lot of land. We also have the new tag Eorcia. Legia doesn't seem to... Actually, Legia's gained these two territories. Yeah, Legia's gained these two. Syracea's gained... Whoa, it's gained quite a hefty amount of land, actually. It's gained like a bunch of there. And then Sarmatia, the big loser here, losing land to Syracea and becoming Roxolania. Cool. Cool. Alright, so... In addition to the Scythians and Sarmatians, we're making some slight changes to the territories north of the Caucasus Mountains. A new tag we are inserting around the Volga River is the Eorsi tribe, a large and powerful tribe recorded by the Chinese as well as the Greeks, which have been downsized here to exist in-game, but to block off colonial routes of expansion for those players who gravitate towards creating a massive tribal monster stretching across the northern border of the map. Material evidence of the Syracesians exists in far wider range of the North Caucasus land, and their presence seems to have included a much greater influence at game start than they currently maintain, matching their Sarmatians for size and controlling the valuable Kuban Valley the Scythians once thrived in. Conversely, while the Lezgi people existed, their tribal strength and presence is poorly attested to during this period. What is known is that their group fit a Caucasian continuum style. Differing from the steppe-based tribes, we have thus moved the Legian culture into the Caucasus culture group. Syracea will also be enlarged at Legia's expense. Lastly, in order to give the tough mountain-dwelling people of Albania a bit more staying power in the game's long run, they also get a few territories from Legia on the west bank of the Caspian Sea. I did not notice that, yeah. Get a couple of provinces there. Well, gained, what, four territories? Impressive. Good for them, I guess. So that's what it looks like overall. Yeah, that's quite a big change. Hopefully it makes the area more interesting. Definitely Eorcia being there will stop this Scythian player just rampaging and colonizing as much as they possibly can. It will block off the path from here over to Parnia Parthia. They'd have to go through that first. Which, yeah, it's good. Cool. I like it. Our hope with these changes is to breathe a bit more life into the western steppe region, mimicking the success Invictus has had with southern Iberia. Speaking of which, we also plan to give many tanks in the region new heritages and some slightly revised levy templates. This is good. Slightly revised levy templates is amazing because levies are kind of garbage, especially if you tend to have a bad levy template. You're just gonna you can't use them in the long run. They're just terrible. Especially if you're playing like Scythia, Sarmatia, these kind of like steppe tribes, you're expecting to have a whole lot of horsemen, be very fast and maneuverable, and you're just not. Because there's just so much light in. I don't think there's a single levy template in the entire game that doesn't contain light infantry, which is probably the worst in the game. I think I'd prefer light infantry to chariots, because at least you can assault forts with chariots. With light infantry. But just the prevalence of light infantry all across the map is just kind of awkward. Just makes legions that much more powerful. So, for heritages, many of the steppe tribes in the base game are left with standard forest, mountain, pirate, etc. heritages, which lead you to, which tend to make you feel like you're playing an unappreciated region. While we're not adding dozens of missions and flavor events to every nation in the northern Black Sea region, we felt that the least we could do is give these nations some love, and the amount of variety was to provide them with a fresh heritage that will help them stand out. Perhaps you want the full Scythian package we plan to provide, and a fresh heritage is simply the cherry on top of the massive content sundae. Yep, sure. Perhaps you think... just the metaphors, man, is weird. Perhaps you think you're better than the Scythians, and you want to toy with them as the Roxolani, outpacing them at every step with your massive movement speed modifiers. That's I like those. I like movement speed modifiers. Or perhaps you really hate all these steppe groups riding around, and you play as the Maeotians, enjoying the show as these pesky hordes dwindle in size, suffering incredible attrition to the regrettably poor quality land you live on. Whatever your preference, we hope you can better pursue it with a new heritage. So the Scythians. Let's actually open the game, because let's actually load the Invictus Dev Clash. That was actually probably a bad idea. Ah, well, whatever. I just want to compare them, basically. So the Scythians get horse archer discipline, enslavement efficiency, unintegrated culture group happiness, -3% is actually, could be kind of large. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Scythians should have bonuses to their horses, just straight up, yes. Enslavement efficiency seems reasonable as well. I'm actually going to go to the menu and start a new game, just so I can tag into the various tribes there. Iazygian heritage. Of course, this is a new tag, so I can't really compare. Actually, I didn't read this. Scythian horse riders come from a long line of steppe nomads ranging across the steppe lands from Hungary to Mongolia, but this specific group has been credited with such feats as assisting the sacking of Nineveh, ruling the country of the Medes, and halting Persian King Darius' invasion of Europe. It's no wonder they say the Athenians hired Scythians as a police force. Nineveh... has it been changed? Has the name been changed? I thought it was Nineveh. I think Nineveh was like around here somewhere. Apparently the name's been changed. Oh well. Anyway, Scythia, they currently have the late Scythian heritage. So horse archer events, country civilization level, fortress building cost. Yeah, I think I prefer what is in Invictus. That seems better to me. Iazygian, obviously there's no comparison, they don't exist at this time. So westernmost of the currently classified summation groups, the Iazyges were the first to ride through the old land of the declining Scythians long after the golden age of their king Ateas. Riding on horses shining with armor, wielding long two-handed Kontos spear, they eventually crossed the Tirus as the Cimmerians had once done and lived in the land of the Dacians, fighting the locals and soon enough invading Roman legions. Riding on horses, shining with armor, spelled wrong. Light cav morale. Like, if you're gonna say this should be heavy cavalry. No? That makes sense to me. Armored horses. That's literally that's heavy cavalry. So, I don't know. That seems strange that you would put light cav morale in there. Onto the Roxolani, they get 20% movement speed, which is huge. That's a massive bonus. Food modifier and fort maintenance cost. Second summation group to cross the Dnieper after the Iazyges, the Roxolani were similar to those before them, riding well-armored horses and dominating the plains. After failing to conquer the Bosporans alongside the Scythians in Crimea, they moved on past the Tirus and entered Dacia and Moesia, coming into conflict with the natives and their Roman neighbours. So, flavor text to be decided, but on the Syracuse heritage we've got army morale, which is, yeah, it's pretty good, unintegrated culture happiness plus 6% is pretty fucking great. Omen power, -5%, such a minor, it's tiny. This means nothing. This means literally nothing, this is useless. So this is a really, really good heritage. Any heritage where your negative is like ignorable is fine by me. So that's the Syracusans. Let's have a look what the Syracusans have. Currently, they have Montaigne, fort defense, fort maintenance, improve opinion maximum. Utterly boring. Absolutely garbage. Boring crap. This, it's pretty good. Actually, let me just see. You can see that when I tag over, right? You can't. There we go. So, Scythia. There's their late Scythian heritage. You can see that now. I think you probably could see it before. Let me just check. Yeah, you could see it before. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it then. And then, yeah, Sriracha, Montaigne heritage, garbage. Absolute garbage. Alright. Moving on to the next one. We've got the Maeotian heritage. Hostile attrition, -1. That's a negative, though. You want hostile attrition to go up, my dude. National pop growth is decent to have. Pop assimilation speed negative is bad. That's this one I really don't like. Yeah, I wouldn't play Maeotians with these bonuses, with this heritage. A diaspora of marsh-dwelling tribes, the Maeotians collectively referred to after the nearby Lake Maeotis, modern Sea of Azov. Little is known or recorded about these peoples, but in conflict with the Bosporan kingdom and the Sindhi, it's written that the Princess Tirgishau of the Ayuxamete led a war against the Sindhi and Bosporans due to her mistreatment as the Sindhi king Hectatius's wife. So let's have a look at the Maeotian heritage in the game. They have Forest Heritage, build cost, Tribesman Happiness, Archer Offensive. It's not terrible. That build cost is horrible. Don't like that. Tribesman Happiness, if you stay a tribe, that's really good, but you generally don't want to. And Archers, you're going to phase out of your armies relatively quickly, so kind of crap. Yeah, this is bad. It's better, but it's still bad. Sindhi Heritage from Syndica. Unintegrated culture group happiness +6 is good. Light infantry discipline +10 is crap. Import value -5 is bad. Import value, you don't make a massive amount from imports. You know, your main money maker for trade is going to be your exports. But still, ugh. Often understood to be the ruling tribe of all the Maeotian tribes, this nation originally situated itself on the side of the Cimmerian Bosporus, opposite of Bosporan Pantipacaian, before being pushed back by Bosporan invasions and annexations. One of their kings, Hecatatius, caused a great war, taking advice from the Bosporan Archon Satyros to imprison his own wife and take a new one. So, in comparison, Sindhi heritage is the same forest heritage that Maeotia has. Crap. Pure garbage. The new heritage, yeah, I mean, it's shit. I'm not. Anytime you get light infantry discipline, it's just bad because light infantry get phased out. There are not enough bonuses for light infantry to ever make them viable, which is unfortunate. So moving on, we have the Aorsi heritage. They have global commerce. The Aorsi are these guys who don't exist. Global commerce income +5, really good. Wasco cost -5, that's okay. Civic provincial investment cost +15. Utterly meaningless, absolutely meaningless. If you're clicking that button even one time, you done a boo boo. That's not a button you want to click. So yeah, everything here is a positive. It's not a problem. Recorded both by Eastern China and Western Europe and American sources. American sources. Are you fucking sure about that? Are you really sure about that? We have American sources for something that happened before we knew that America existed. Are you sure about that? Think you may have made a boo-boo. Anyway, they're a powerful expansionist tribe. They performed a large part in the many series of westward migrations pushing from West and Central Asia. They supposedly originated in Central Asia, moving west to cause the Western 2nd century BCE to... is that the year 2 BCE? Maybe. And 200 AD. Choose BC and AD or BCE and CE. Like, choose which one you want. Don't be like swapping between them. Also, it would be 2 BCE, not 2nd BC. See, yeah, it's just whatever. Moving on. Chersonesus heritage. Yeah, so this is good. This is all good, right? Chersonesus heritage. Mercenary maintenance cost -10, really good. Ship damage +5 is, yeah, it's all right. Cohort loyalty chance +10 is it's both bad and good. It's not really just a negative. Because if a cohort is loyal, then you don't pay its upkeep and it has more discipline. It just also gives whoever is commanding it, or whoever has its loyalty, more power. So, Chersonesus is a Greek colony, but the lands around it in all directions are towery, inhabited by those Scythian-like men and women who play piracy upon Greek merchants, sailing from Kalos Limen. They are a resourceful and unforgiving people. So Chersonesus, at the moment, here, has the Bosporan heritage of capital import routes +1, promotion speed +10%, and assimilation speed -10%, which is, honestly, if they didn't have that assimilation speed and it was like literally anything else, this is a really, really good heritage. With that, it's just not good. Assimilation speed -10%, especially in Invictus, where assimilation is so horrifically nerfed. That's so painful. It is unbelievably painful. So I'm glad they got rid of that. It's just too powerful a nerf compared to literally anything else. But yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. Cohort loyalty chance, again, it's not a terrible thing. It's just something you have to manage, and it will make you stronger. So I don't know. Anyway, levy templates. Looking at the original setup for levies, one of the two main cultures in the areas we've been altering, the realm of the Scythian and Sarmatian tribes, we felt a redo was in order. Where the raising of a great horde of cavalry was something to look forward to each time the player or AI sets on a warpath, the original templates for these cultures didn't quite capture that feeling. With the revised levy templates, both cultures will see a significant increase in cavalry and a corresponding reduction in infantry. Now, while combat in the open with an enemy force on favourable terrain like plains or farmland will offer a distinct advantage, sieging or assaulting enemy forts will prove to be much more of a challenge due to the cavalry-heavy composition these nations now possess. Nomadic warfare tactics will force the player to be faster, strategic, and cunning in order to capitalize on your strengths and punish your enemy's weaknesses. So, yeah, no. The fact that there is still 25% light infantry means that this is not true. It actually makes it easier. And hear me out. So yes, light infantry is the only kind of infantry, light infantry is the only kind of... Infantry is the only ones that can assault. Archers, heavy infantry, light infantry. However, you don't... the way that fort assaulting works, it's not that the more you have, the easier it is and the fewer you lose. It just ain't that way. The more you have, the more you lose. The most efficient way to assault a fort is with as few troops to get the job done as possible. Probably the most efficient is sending 500 light infantry, and then when they're wiped out, sending 500 more, and then when they're wiped out, sending 500 more. That's the most efficient way that'll get you the fort in the least amount of troops. So them having fewer light infantry in their levies actually means that they can probably do a bit better. They won't lose as many troops when they assault. Of course, you can still use the same tactic as before by, splitting off just a small amount of light infantry, but yeah, sieging is not going to be any more difficult. Assaulting is not going to be any more difficult. They honestly should have removed it entirely. They should have removed infantry entirely from the levy, just straight up. This seems like a half measure, and I don't think there's any need for it. Just remove it. If you want to have light infantry or any kind of infantry in your stacks, then the Scythians can just accept Creek when they conquer the Bosporans. It just seems so unnecessary, and like, oh, we're going to change it to be more cavalry focused, and then in the end you just like, not that much. And they should have gone the whole hog. It should have been, oh, you're at war with the Scythians, you're facing off cavalry, and you're facing off on only cavalry, and you're going to have to be prepared for cavalry. And now it's like, oh, there's cavalry, there's a few light infantry. It just seems like you were so close to greatness, and then you done gone and fucked it up. Yeah, moving on. Not only will this region feature new borders, tags, heritage, and more historically accurate levy compositions, we're also expanding the cultural content for these tags as well. New heptatic deities, Scythian treasures, a new bloodline, and even 2 possible wonder decisions will add more content and choices to tags playing in the area. While all this content is still in development, we have a few deities that we are comfortable showing off in this early dev diary. So first off, we have the Scythian, Saccan, and Steppe groups of the period recorded as maintaining a similar religious structure to the general Indo-Iranian concept of the major 7 deities, ordered in a system of hierarchy and fundamental importance. Tabiti and fire at the top to represent heat, fire, and the hearth. Second tier contains Popeus and Api, equating to the Greek Zeus and Gaia, sky and earth. Third rank contains Targeteus, Goetir Sirius, Argimpasa, and the Scythian Ares, who we'll be calling Patanpasa. These form the heptad, from which PDX gets the religious title for the group, Heptadic. However, 7 gods plus 1 regional god for an entire religion that spans most of the Asian continent is not nearly enough. Agreed, because you'll have 2 for each, apart from one that only gets 1 for your deities. It's just, yeah, it's not enough. So yeah, adding more is a really good idea. So we're using recounted Scythian mythology and Greek assimilations of their stories to add new gods to the game. However, this is very Scythia-centric, just like this whole dev diary. We're looking to see what other kinds of gods we can add in the future. So we have Patampasa, the Scythian Ares. Passive effect is Horse Archer Offensive, the Omen effect is Army Experience Gain, and the Apotheosis effect, which is when you deify a ruler over this god, will convert pops into nobles, which is very interesting, right? If you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be playing a game as the Scythians and going into the late game or the long term, you're going to obviously want to be civilizing, creating cities, putting down roots that way, and then the ability to create nobles is going to be really key. I like this. That's really good. He's worshipped... Oh, I mean, you're very rarely going to do it, because I very rarely deify rulers. Maybe I should look into doing it more often. He's worshipped by each tribe annually when they burn a great pile of wood topped with a bloodied sword meant as a sign of tribal loyalty and commitment to the cosmological order. He's the god of conflict and ultimate victory, an analogue to Iranian that guy. So we have Lepokyaxis. Passive effect is native 10% law change cost. Big meh. Omen effect, monthly civilization change. Okay. Apotheosis effect is plus civilization advances. They're just giving you some tech points, which is also really, really nice. Oldest son of Targeteus, he's one of the 3 who's unable to touch the golden gifts from the heavens without them bursting into flames. He is relegated to the lower kingship of the tripartite royal hierarchy. The Scythians recount him as siring the Alcarcate tribe. In the Greek version of the myth, he's called Agathisiris, progenitor of the Agathysiri tribe living to the west of the royal Scythians on the plain straddling the river Maris. So we have Arpoxais. We got -1 slaves per surplus. That's really, really good. Really, really, really good. Omen effect is plus 10% tribesman output. Probably would never use that. Apotheosis effect is a free province investment. That is fucking amazing. The middle son of Targeteus, he's one of the 3 who's unable to touch the golden gifts from the heavens without them bursting into flames. Okay. He is the siring the Qatari and Traspian tribes. He's called Gelonius, progenitor of the Geloni tribe, the Heloni, living in the northeast of the royal Scythians in the wooded hinterland east of the Borysthenes. We have Colaxis. Pop capacity is nice. Research points is nice. Pop growth is... Wait, Apotheosis, isn't that usually an instant effect? Does it just create pops? I don't know how this one would work. Apotheosis effects are usually instant actions, like it creates a pop, it promotes a pop, it gives an investment, it gives a this, it gives a that. Having it not do anything tangible like that is a bit weird. Youngest son of Targeteus, he's the only one of the 3 who's able to touch the golden gifts from the heavens without them bursting into flames, and he's accepted as the High King in the tripartite royal hierarchy. The Scythians recount him as siring the Paralete tribe. In the Greek version of the myth, he's called Scythes, progenitor of the royal Scythians using the Pontic steppe, or ruling it. Though all 3 groups, the those guys, are referred to collectively as the Skolatoi, Greek Scythian. They're named for and ruled by the royal Scythian line above all. Additionally, here are 2 syncretic faith gods, which will be adding that represent the mingling of the nomads and the Hellenic world. These deities will only become unlocked by taking decisions to adopt more Hellenic features. Heraclean Targeteus. So you have morale of armies, war score cost, and military experience. Those are all pretty good, especially military experience. It's nice. Hellenic interpretation of the god Targeteus. It represents a mixture of cultures. The combined strength of both the Greek and Scythian grandfather line of our kings will grant us immeasurable power in war. We have Drakaina, shrine to be built in the territory called Karkin. So we have passive effect of slave happiness, omen effect of slave output, and apotheosis effect of slaves. I guess she just likes slaves. She just straight up loves her some slaves. She serves a representation of the fertile earth. In an effort to explain the Scythian tradition origin myth from their own perspectives, the Greeks used her to convey the idea of the land giving birth to the 3 great sons of Heracles who would go on to populate the land of Scythia. What has this got to do with this? They seem like this is so very pointed. Like, this is the slave god. Everything she does is due to fucking slaves. And then the description is, I mean, it doesn't mention slaves once. So I don't know. It's like incredibly pointed and just not here. I don't know. Anyway, we have some treasures as well. Treasures to commemorate and celebrate those deities and special festivals have been added. Unfortunately, we have scant record due to the lost oral traditions of many of these, and we're forced to extrapolate what we can from obscure Greek, Latin, and Chinese passages. So when we look to the origin story of the Scythians, a tale where 4 holy relics made of pure gold fall from the sky, that, to us, serves as inspiration. These 4 golden treasures that fell out of the sky are the plough, yoke, battle axe, and drinking cup. In order to be used as a test of rulership, Coloaxis, the younger son, is the only of the 3 to be able to touch these items without them bursting up in flames, so he was proclaimed the High King of the 3 rulers. Perhaps these golden treasures really existed and were lost due to tribal warfare or melted down by heathen Greeks or other non-heptadics. Can't know for sure, but we are comfortable including these treasures as a way to better represent the vibrant cultures of the people of the steppe. I mean, an aspiring ruler could, like, create these treasures and be like, look, I can touch these because I'm amazing, and, like, descended from Coloaxis. They don't have to be real, but if people believe in them, that gives them power, you know? Unfortunately, these treasures are still in development and aren't ready to be shown at this time. Just know that they're on our minds, and we hope to show them off soon. Big sad. So many things we'd like to show you today, but if you've been paying attention, we clearly have a whole mission tree to showcase for our Scythia Part 2. So let's see you soon there. I will say I don't particularly enjoy the mission tree dev diaries quite as much, but I'll still go over them for your entertainment and perusal. But yeah, I prefer this kind of dev diary to these ones. So, looking at Sardinia, I guess, as a complete 180. Tudela and Palander also made changes to another area, which is somewhat unrelated to the aforementioned steppes. Somewhat. But will have an impact on any player in Italy and Carthage. Sardinia now has several new tags, and Carthage no longer controls the whole coastline, as archaeological evidence points towards Carthage only extending influence around Olbia and the southern and western coast. So before we have this, and now we have... Ooh, that is very different. They still have the city up here, though. It would have been possible to add even more tags than that, but we decided against that because of gameplay reasons. Each tag would have a fort. Out of the new 5 tags, only Tibulatia is not Nuragic, but Corsian. There will, of course, be new formables and other content for the tribes of Sardinia, but we'll come to that in a later dev diary. Nice. Alright, well, that's the dev diary. I think I've pretty adequately said my opinions. Didn't like that on the various heritages, which ones are good and bad and all that. But overall, I liked it. Good stuff. Really excited to be playing more of this on Sunday. Obviously playing as Rome still. We had a week off, but looking forward to getting back into there. But yeah, I would love to see you there. If you would like to, comment on the dev diary, then, feel free to let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are. I will pass all of those on to the devs, or you could tell them yourselves, because the link to their Discord will also be in the description below. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed looking at a bit more of the Imperator Invictus mod and how it is shaping up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.